it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the session about concerning the Creative Cities Network. Poproszę o prezentację. Okay, well, at the beginning, I would like to tell you about the agenda of the today's session. We will start with a brief introduction to the Creative Cities Network, and then we will discuss with our panelists two important issues concerning how being within the network stimulates the local development and how we can use the label of UNESCO within our promotional campaigns. Also within the agenda, we hope it will be some minutes for discussion. So if you have any particular issues you want to ask at the end, please note these questions and we will refer it at the end. Okay, so before I will say something about our panelists and about cities they come from, I would like to refer to UNESCO. But UNESCO is mainly a word from recognized from the World Heritage List perspective. There have been more than 1,000 properties all over the world which have been designated, which have been written to the list. Cities, localities, regions, and countries are proud of it. But today, we will not talk about it. We will talk about the other program which is developing under UNESCO label, which is Creative Cities Network. The program which have started in 2004. So we can say that this year we have 20th anniversary of this program. And looking at the map of the world, we can see a lot. In total, there are 350 cities which have already joined the network and want to take advantage of being within UNESCO Creative Cities. The network is divided into 6 categories: crafts and folk art, design, film, gastronomy, literature, media arts, and music. We can say that the network has been established in order to promote cooperation and with and among cities that have identified creativity, as a strategic factor for sustainable urban development. As I said, up-to-date numbers say that there are 350 cities from over 100 countries which are successful with joining the network and which started to collaborate each other in order to have the optimal results in this domain. Joining the network, cities commit to sharing their best practices and developing partnerships involving public and private sectors as well as civil society. And we can say that the network have been created in order to strengthen the creation, production, distribution, and dissemination of cultural activities, goods, and services. It has been created to develop hubs of creativity and innovation and broaden opportunities for creators and professionals in the cultural sector. It has been created in order to improve access to and participation and in cultural life for marginalized, vulnerable groups and individuals. And finally, to fully integrate culture and creativity into development plans, into sustainable development plans. And maybe I feel that our discussion will mainly concentrate on this last aspect. The Creative Cities Network is a network which, in its policy, is to support Agenda 2030 for sustainable development, especially goal number 11, which is making cities and communities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Let me give you some numbers concerning the recent development of the program, of the network. When we look at different categories, we can say that the most popular category is music. Actually, there are around 65 cities of music which have joined the network, then craft and folk art, and then gastronomy. These are the most popular issues. What I would like to point your attention is that when we look at the previous 20 years of development of the network, we can see that the biggest increase in number of participants we have in the recent 10 years. So at the beginning of the program, it was just 20% of the actual members, and 80% have joined within the days 2015 and 2024. Maybe it is also worth to mention that in Poland, we have already 6 cities which have joined the network, and the cities have joined the network in a category of city of film, city of music, and city of literature. And it is why we in our panel have concentrated on these 3 categories. Okay, so today we will have a great opportunity to meet with practitioners, to meet with people who are working within the network, who are representing different cities within these 3 categories. First category is city of film. We have a representative of city of Bristol, Natalie Moore. We have been talking about also a collaboration between Bristol and Łódź. What these cities are in common, that maybe they have joined the network at the same year, 2017. Then we have Rafał Syska, who is to some extent, yes, well, he's working here, and he will contribute to discussion from the perspective of our city. Then we are going up to Sweden. Norrköping is a city, we can say post-industrial city, which also experienced textile industry. There are also some similarities with Łódź. I can say that one of the similarities is quite similar distance from the capital. So from Stockholm, a train is going 1 hour 15 minutes, but usual train go 1 hour 30 minutes. So it will be also interesting example of a city of music. And then a city of Katowice, also we can say city of music. Katowice, we all know that is competing for the European Capital of Culture. We wish them all the best. In a few months it will be the result. And then we have the representative of Krakow. I have to say that at that time At that time, Robert Piaskowski was working in the city office, and today we can say he has even broader perspective because he is the director of National Center of Culture in Warsaw. Today, in today's panel, we will discuss two issues. The first question is how joining the UNESCO Creative City Network stimulates city regeneration. So it will be the question, the issue, whether this label, being within the network, stimulates in any way the development of the city. And the second issue, which we will discuss, is connected with branding strategy. But maybe before that, I would like to ask Robert to give some comments concerning the procedure of joining the network. What is required? Is it a difficult task? And how do you think why Polish cities are choosing only these three categories: city of film, literature, and music, and why the other categories are not so popular?
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to see all of you, and so many people came for our panel. It's so great to share this panel with friends and with new friends, and sharing some experience on Kraków application process, which has been put into completely different contexts where we are now, because it was very small network. It was absolutely fresh program. We got letter from City of Edinburgh with an invitation from Lord Provost that maybe Kraków, having Nobel Prize winning poets and great literary heritage, could join the network. And this letter vanished, disappeared. And then we were searching this letter. No one answered, so diplomatic crisis. And then we found this letter. It was just beginning of the Konrad Festival and Miłosz Festival. They didn't like each other. They were competing very much, and there was a strong discussion in the town whether we should be a city of music, city of literature, or city of film, because of the, of course, very complex cultural ecosystem of the city of Krakow. And we quickly noticed that one of the most neglected area was literature. Even if we are a city of Lem, visionary science fiction writer, even if we are a city of Joseph Conrad, and we were a city of Miłosz Szymborska, two Nobel Prize winning poets, there were no literary policy, there were no modern libraries, there were no creative writing programs, so nothing. And having such a legacy, such a heritage of literature, it was just surprising. City was more focused on big events in that time, marketing-oriented culture. So I know that Karolina Pietyra in former panel was presenting this way of thinking. And then this process was really interesting. I remember the very first meeting when I, as a young manager, invited all of the representatives of different sectors and different departments of the city, asking whether it's a good decision. Maybe we should rethink, maybe we should discuss whether literature is the right direction. And I remember the answer of some of the directors, oh, Kraków should receive this title immediately. We should enter on the red carpet to this family of the city, because there is nothing to compare to Melbourne, Iowa, or even other cities. There were only 6 cities of literature, 5 cities of literature in that time: Edinburgh, Melbourne, Iowa, Reykjavik, and Dublin. And we were waiting almost 4 years. That was, of course, the moment when this program was born. So UNESCO didn't have structures, they didn't have department focused on Creative Cities program. I remember one of our visits with former vice mayor of city of Kraków in UNESCO in this big bureaucratic building, trying to find the director responsible for that program to present our bid. So completely different context. First of all, city itself thought that it's a trophy and victory for heritage, for legacy, for something which is completely wrong in that program. Then a weakness of the system in UNESCO so far. It was the period when when the United States withdrawn their financement of UNESCO itself. UNESCO was in very deep crisis. And then, of course, a lack of resources to run such a program on the local level. So our way is a way when we quickly understood that being great is not enough. You need to have ambition, you need to have partners, you need to create the program collectively, and you need to guarantee long-term financement of this program. So you need to have ambition and vision for that. So we used, as a city of Krakow, our title to completely transform the whole readership market in Krakow to connect with all of the state, regional, and municipal institutions, to work closely with the regional library, which is a major and the biggest one in Krakow, and to create the ecosystem of events, awards, creative writing, program for bookshops, to create one unique library and the whole network of headquarters. So it was a big issue. And from the other hand, to support other Polish cities to join the network. And the first was Katowice, our neighbor, closest neighbor. And this process was fascinating, how to share know-how. Then we were partnered with a city of Wrocław, which it was the very tricky moment. Wrocław thought that we will have problem, that they would like to join City of Literature as well. At the very beginning, we were negotiating maybe another discipline, but finally they said we need literature because we would like to express our multicultural identity, and literature, this is the only way we can work on this. We can work on the dissonant heritage also through literature. This is the case of Gdańsk as well. They want to be city of literature as well. They created first bids. They didn't succeed, but it's one of the answers where sometimes city want to work on very difficult stuff like dissonant heritage. This is case of Krakow, this is case of Wrocław, this is case of Gdańsk, dealing with, let's say, Jewish, German heritage of those towns. And then, of course, Bydgoszcz, Gdynia, Łódź was also very close. I remember very first meeting with Rafał, when Rafał asked us how it works, how we could join forces. And very quickly, city of Krakow, together with city of Katowice, organized the very first Polish Creative Cities Summit. And we won this privilege to organize this Congress thanks to the very first collaborative bid together with city of Katowice. We called this bid Krakowice. And people loved it. And UNESCO said, this is exactly what we need. We need collaboration between cities. And this very first Polish Summit of Creative Cities were organized simultaneously in Krakow and Katowice, presenting capitals, but in context of revitalization of Jewish district and tram depot in Krakow, in connection with film industry, with design, and with gastronomy sector. Same was done in Katowice, and was very successful. Just to give you another context, year before, Krakow was hosting a World Heritage Committee, so very, let's say, the most serious UNESCO Congress, when all of the delegations, they talk about new UNESCO sites. That was the momentum when Puszcza Białowieska, this forest on the east of Poland, was written on the list of the UNESCO sites in under threat, endangered, and also city of Vienna. So it was very important context also to show two faces of the city, heritage city and creative cities, and to prove that heritage and creativity are great partners. So today it's easier to apply. There is a very simple process. The only thing is to create a bid according to the rules. They are very well described on the UNESCO Creative Cities website. If you want to succeed in the very first moment, there is a moment of gap, so you cannot apply year after year. Because UNESCO want to know whether cities are stubborn, ambition, whether they want to continue this path. And also it should not be the ambition of some politicians only, or some little local leaders. It should be really vision. It should be really anchored in long-term budget. It should not be only a trophy for 1 year only. It should be vision for 10 years at least. And there should be also anchored the program of the collaboration with international partners and Polish partners.
Okay. As I said, the program is functioning for 20 years already, and the first Polish city we joined the network was Krakow in 2013. And the other cities which are represented today, they mainly joined the network in 2017, for example, Bristol. So you have 7 years experience being within the network. But so now I address my question to Natalie. Was there a stimulus for development when you become the member of the network, when you received this label City of Film? Something changed in Bristol?
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. It's fantastic to be here in Łódź. I've wanted to visit Łódź for many years, having joined Bristol, having joined the network at the same time as Łódź, and hearing all about the fantastic film culture that you have here in the city. To answer your question, things didn't change immediately. It's been a long process, and 7 years is a good amount of time to experiment and to investigate how you can use the designation in detail. It doesn't come with a guidebook. It doesn't come with a set of processes that you should follow as a creative city. It's very much looking to other cities to see how they've utilized the network, working with partner cities around, in our case, Cities of Film. That it's a wonderful community, international community that we can lean into and understand more from. And also looking at how you can marry the UNESCO values with city policy and strategy. Fundamentally, it's a title and it's a name, but really it's a strategic tool and it's a policy tool. And I think it works best when you can take the understanding that it's a mechanism to embed culture in policy and strategy, plans, development activity. and really take the time that you need to make that meaningful and impactful. In Bristol, we have tried very hard to understand what that means for the city. So in the case of film, we see it as, film as moving image. We have a fantastic film industry in Bristol that has been built on having a huge amount of natural history programming. So 1/3 of the world's natural history programming is produced from Bristol. Wouldn't necessarily know that, but we are big in natural history. We also have a huge animation sector. We are home to Aardman Animations that make Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep. You might have seen some of those animations. And we're the birthplace of Cary Grant. So the Hollywood icon Cary Grant came from Bristol. But we also have a huge amount of TV drama production, and we have a big film facility in the city that facilitates multiple TV drama series working out of Bristol. And like Łódź, it was interesting listening to the session this morning, like Łódź, we have a lot of visiting productions that come from London and will base in the city for short periods of time, utilise some of the talent and facilities, and then they'll move out again. And for Bristol, that's great economically, but at a social level, we don't necessarily see change through that sort of activity. So for us, it was about understanding how we can support productions to continue working in the city, but also how they can support the talent base and the workforce in the city to grow in a sustainable and an inclusive way. We are a very multicultural city where we have over 90 languages spoken in the city, and a huge Polish population actually as well, so lots of diaspora communities that contribute to our culture. And we really wanted to understand how the film industry can include as many people as possible from the local area, support employment and support audience development, engagement in culture. And we chose to do that in a way that was inclusive of the stakeholders in our city. So we talked to multiple stakeholders to understand how that could actually work and how they can support the designation to deliver against some of its aims as well. So we've done that with various programs. We've done programs supporting skills. We have a workforce development program at the moment that is based at the Bottle Yard Studios, which is our main studio facility in Bristol. And Bottle Yard is based in an area of extreme social deprivation. So it's situated, it's surrounded by pockets of deprivation. And for us, it was really important that we could allow the studios to be a regeneration hub for that community that it serves, and that people surrounding the area could access work in an industry that can feel very inaccessible, very elitist, very hard to navigate at times. So we have a workforce development program that we're delivering at the moment, which is serving underrepresented people in our communities. And that's actually being funded by we have a regional authority as well that surrounds Bristol, which is supportive as well in terms of skills. We've also looked at projects that can support high streets and city centre regeneration. We were, like many cities, very heavily impacted by COVID. And we chose to embed the UNESCO City of Film designation into programmes that were trying to support recovery and regeneration in some of our main city centre spaces and our high street spaces. So it could support retail regeneration and business regeneration on the back of COVID. And we had a programme last year called Bristol Summer Film Takeover, which had a variety, I think it was 9 different film-based events that took place across city centre spaces, utilising underground car park spaces that nobody used and developing meanwhile use functions for those spaces. Also utilising some of our park spaces and bringing film into the communities so that as much as possible, a variety of people from all walks of life could access film. We understand that film can be a really accessible medium for people. Most people can access film through their phones nowadays, so you don't necessarily need to go to the cinema as much as we absolutely encourage people to go to the cinema. It can be something that can be brought out to communities and people can engage in as well. So I suppose in answer to your question, it benefits Bristol to have a long-term permanent designation that you can take time to understand, to build the financing around, and to bring partners and stakeholders into the conversations to understand how it can best serve the communities that are in the city, how it can align with wider cultural policy in the city, and how it can meet some of the values for UNESCO as well.
Thank you. Well, when we are talking about city development and how we can strengthen this development and speed up some processes, we can say that we can conduct infrastructural projects and soft projects, which in culture would be new festivals, new events. So now I would like to move to Rafał from Łódź. Maybe in Łódź you have done a lot of new infrastructure, yes, in order to develop a city of film, to have premises, to welcome tourists, citizens, and to develop this beautiful film history.
Yes, because we are exactly in the heart of the National Center for Film Culture, so the infrastructure aspects of our membership in UNESCO Creative City of Film is very, very important. But I begin with one other fact, which is devoted to one of the former panel, because we are not only the member of the UNESCO Creative Cities, but also we are the member of the other circle, other network, ERIH, European Road of Industrial Heritage. Why is this important for us? Because we are focusing on the combination, very close combination of two wide areas. The first one is industrial heritage. So exactly in EC1 where you are right now, we are using this heritage, this industrial heritage and this unique architecture as a base for educational center of science and technology. And the second important aspect is the cinematic heritage, not only post-industrial, but also cinematic heritage. And we're trying to evolving this tradition into contemporary audiovisual landscape. So that's the purpose of EC1, the institution where we are exactly in this moment. That's the purpose of National Center for Film Culture, and I think that's the purpose of Łódź as well. The combination of these two areas, post-industrial and cinematic heritage. But coming back to UNESCO network, I have one key, very important for me, observation. I think maybe it's banal, but really crucial for us. It's not possible to define one single framework for a creative city of film. Why? The answer is simple. Because each city employs the idea of creative city and values of creative city, for example, creative city of films, in a different way. This happens primarily because none of UNESCO cities of film is just the same. So we are at different level of social, political, cultural, and economic stage of development. So film can play a different role in all of our UNESCO cities. Some of these cities are concentrating on film festivals, other ones on production studios or on educational projects. Some cities are vibrant capital metropolis, other ones are small and located far away in the province. So it's very hard to find visible similarities between them. For example, Łódź. Our city was, without question, a city of film throughout the second half of 20th century. We had Poland's largest film studio. The legendary film school was founded here. Most famous Polish films were shot exactly in this city. The film museum was established very nearby. And even a factory of technical equipment for movie theaters was operating in this city. So Łódź was almost complete city of film through communism period in the history of Poland. Great institutions, proud employment, and of course people. And everything was changed at the turn of 1980s and 1990s during the transformation times. In those days, Łódź lost status of the central point of Polish cinema industry. And as a consequence, the mournful, sad feelings became overwhelming in Łódź. The time of deep grief began. Many people involved film production left to Warsaw. Huge heritage was destroyed. Film studios were closed. Only memory and a sense of injustice remains in Łódź. So the first action to do was to undertake a kind of treatment on the emotional worries and complexes of city. So I think Łódź entered into the UNESCO network in 2017 was a great change and a proof of rapid regeneration of this city. And I see this regeneration in three aspects, in three fields. First, the membership of UNESCO let us preserve, or rather rebuild, the memory of cinema legacy in this film, in this city. It wasn't very hard to do because by public opinion research in all Polish cities except Warsaw, which is still automatically perceived as the most recognizable city of film in Poland. Second, the title of the Creative City of Film let us demonstrate the power of city's contemporary film industry. For example, the first Polish film, which was awarded by Oscar for the best feature film, was produced by Łódź Film Studio Opus Film. So it was the first film awarded by Oscar in this main category. Besides, National Center for Film Culture, where we are exactly right now, was the National Educational and Exhibition Center and was established exactly in this city. So this title is not only acknowledgement of outstanding past, but also a narration on the magnificent present times. And this leads to, I think, third very important benefit of granting Łódź the title of the Creative City of Film. This title referred not only to the past and to the present, but also it means, I think, the basis for reflection what film should be in the future. At every step, I emphasize very strongly that this title of Creative City of Film for Łódź is a historical opportunity to think about the future of the film. Post-film begins in Łódź. That's the purpose also for National Center for Film Culture and our Office of UNESCO City of Film. We know exactly very well that the cinematic medium is still evolving. It becomes a part of many cultural and social phenomena. It's testing its usefulness in modern digital audiovisuality, for example, VR, AR, CGI, artificial intelligence, and so on. And I think that's the aim for a City of Film of Łódź right now. Because that's true, we are facing with the process of degradation of Łódź as a cinematic center in Poland, but only in the traditional way to understand it, the film. So it's not surprising, for example, that in Łódź we have festivals dedicated to modern multimedia fields such as Promised Land about video games or Wezmą Festival about mapping. So paradoxically, this situation led us think about film in a new way. If traditional cinema industry moved to Warsaw, we'll have to propose the redefinition of cinema and film here in Łódź. We must be a space of audiovisual experiments. Future cinema begin in Łódź. That's the regeneration, I think. I think one observation is, as I said, very key for me, because as a comparison, for example, Cannes and Valladolid, other UNESCO cities of film. These cities are with fantastic film festivals. We don't have this kind of big film festival, so fortunately, we are not a hostage of the huge film festival. In turn, Bradford, for example, is the heart of British media education because National Science and Media Museum has been located there. So we are closer to this concept of city of film. The way how this city understand and operate the title must be a consequence of available tools, resources, and limitations. If we were Warsaw, as I said once more, with its cultural power, media and television corporations, headquarters of institutions and ministries, and the biggest in Poland film studios, we would operate idea of city of film in a very different way. So in conclusion, I think the way how to practice the values of UNESCO Creative City and use the potencies of this splendid network should begin with the setting up the position of city, its possibilities and boundaries, because there is no one single framework how to be a member of UNESCO Creative City and how to use this title for regeneration.
Thank you so much. I have to say that Rafał is not only the public manager, but he is also a recognized scientist in the field of film, so his answers are always very rich in content. Now we are moving to Sweden. So I will ask Sandra about something. Norrköping. Norrköping is a relatively small city. It is around 100,000 inhabitants.
150, but very small still.
But you are growing, or in the past you have been larger city. Anyway, the question is how you took advantage of the city of music label.
I would like to start with saying that for me, or for my city, the Creative Cities designation is not a label or a brand. I would say that is more of a stamp of quality and being part of a global network where a lot of cities work in the same way. So for our city, it was a lot about getting the music community locally to bring them together and also connect them so we could work locally on a global level with our music industry. Being from Sweden, where the music industry, I'm sure a lot of you know, is very active, being an hour or an hour and a half south of Stockholm, one of the biggest music production cities of the world, made us an incubator, our whole city, in so many genres. We have our own symphony orchestra, but we also have so many music festivals, etc. It's such a big music community. And this network enhances everything that we do, whether we use music as a place, as a driver for place development or sustainable city development. We can just bring in the experts from this global network, which is amazing. And for our Congress, concerts, conferences, we bring in global music, global experts. That is really what it's about. So I would say that this designation, how we use it and what it means that it brings in so many new experiences, but we also bring a lot of our experiences out to the world. We have run a gender equality program for a long time. I wish I could actually bring in the music a little bit to wake you up after lunch here to see a group of 24 girls from 17 countries recently arrived in Norrköping making a music video together and getting paid for it. It's indescribable, and this program ended up being our gender equality program within the Cities of Music. So now we've tried it in several other countries, and we will try to build it even bigger on a global level, working on long-term funding. So this is the thing you can do. You can get things from local to global in a very fast way. And just to put in perspective, today the program with 350 cities, we are a steering group of 7 coordinators, and after Katowice, Norrköping are now coordinating the 75 cities of music. And of course you work within your sub-network as music cities, but you also work with film. Like, we also have a dome, make our own dome productions. We have film funding. Of course, when we have residencies, it goes out to all the creative cities as an opportunity. And we are a mini Łódź in many ways. We have the industrial heritage, and today I'm working at the Visit Norrköping as a destination developer, and some of my friends are in charge of the film funding, etc. But when we were teenagers, the old industrial landscape in Norrköping was actually empty. We had our non-official offices for film festivals that we created, or radio stations, and this is how creativity really changed and regenerated that area. And when the symphony orchestra needed a new concert hall, our old paper mill became the place. And this is how this whole area, including a campus for the university, made our city, our inner city, much more thriving than before. And of course, like all cities, we always need to work even more for a sustainable city center. And of course, the designation makes it easier to bring in policies when we fund live, which is much more difficult after the pandemics, because we need live more than ever, but the industry in itself is having difficulties, and the audience, we have a new behavioral pattern. So this is something we need to work on, or maybe find new ways. We don't know yet, right? And so I would say for my city in Norrköping, close to Stockholm, and after the pandemics, we are looking into how we could bring all these creative expressions together. And I wanted to say, as the coordinator, I also remind the cities about we're not only building our communities, we're actually a part of UN and UNESCO, and we are working to have our creativity as a driver, not only for our city's sake, but also actually for peace and for a more sustainable future. And let's not forget that. But in putting time and money into our creative sectors, they will be a powerful driver to change our cities. And just in this building, we can tell what a difference it makes. So this network is just a network. It's not money from the UNESCO. It's like we heard from my colleagues here before. It's what we make it, and it's what our creative communities make it. Because I work solely with what they want to do. I facilitate, I enable. And we have to start over building our communities all the time, especially after the pandemic. But always inclusion, like Ghent, also creative city of music. We work with inclusive and attainable festivals, no ticketing, just open for everyone to attend. And we also work in the global steering group of all our 7 clusters to try to go more crossover in the future, blending our new media arts, film, music, since we are usually strong in so many areas. In Sweden, we work with literature, gastronomy, and music so far, and we will create a tourism trail for sustainable tourism. And this is one of our new projects that we will work on, but also to bring in, because we have songwriting camp, we have a showcase festival, and bring in people from other, like I talked about before, for our showcase festival to have a UNESCO stage. Or for this year on the annual meeting in Braga, we have Spotify lists with music from all of our 75 music cities. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sandra. You mentioned that the network of cities of music is the largest because it consists of today 75 members. When in the case of film, there are only 26. So it is a different situation. I can say that these cities are spread all over the world. Even today we have together with us Elham from Iran, who is preparing PhD thesis on this network approach to cities of music. But now we will move to the city of music from Poland, Katowice. And Łukasz, how do you feel? Do you feel that it is a too big network? Maybe you feel that it is a competition, or you find any value in this size?
No, there's never enough new cities in the network, although it's very hard to manage, and I think Sandra can confirm that as our coordinator. As you can imagine, in such a huge and global network, there are still lots of members, and in this case, member cities who are completely absent and as we say, sleepy members that we don't have any contact with, and it's a huge pity because we could take a lot of advantage of their experience. And this is a really global network because I think that music and maybe folks and crafts are one of the most varied networks of the sub-networks within the network, as the music is such a universal language and it's transferable everywhere. But as for the Katowice case, I would say that the Katowice case is exactly what we are talking here about. It's about because the music for Katowice is the part of the regeneration of the city itself, and I would say that the title of and joining the network of UNESCO creative cities was not the beginning of this process, but it was more or less in the middle of it. Because it's for the city, it all started more or less at the beginning of the first decade of the 21st century. So I mean the year 2009, 2010, and it was much more related with the competition for or a bid for a European Capital of Culture that it was supposed to be granted to one of the cities in Poland in 2016. And it was exactly the moment that we started in Katowice to take a closer look on ourselves and on our creative sector and on our culture in general. And that was the moment that we realized, because as a matter of fact, as a post-industrial city at that time and still a post-industrial city, we have very little confidence in ourselves as citizens, as people of the creative sector, of the people of culture, let's say. We have very little confidence in our creative sector. And this first bid for the ECOC, so European Capital of Culture, made us realize that we have really strong assets, and these are the musical ones. And it was also the moment when the authorities had decided, very much inspired and pushed by very important people that were all still active at that time. I mean, Wojciech Hilar or Henryk Mikołaj Górecki, who somehow convinced the mayor at that time to help constructing the new concert hall of the Polish National Radio Orchestra. And this place is absolutely symbolic for the transformation of the city. Of course, we should look at the transformation on at least two levels, which one could be urban transformation, and the second one, even more important probably, is the social one. You know it better than me. But in a symbolic way and on the urbanistic level, the creation of this new concert hall and the whole area, which we call the cultural zone, which is right next to the city center and close to the very emblematic place, which we call Flying Saucer, the sports hall that was created at the end of the 60s. But on the spot where until 1998 there was an operating the coal mine Katowice. That was really 5 minutes walk from the main square of the city, so quite unusual and a very attractive place when the coal mine was shut down. And at that time, that was the moment when the authorities and the citizens has realized how music in this particular case could be helpful in transforming the city. I think that at that moment we are rather thinking about, and the authorities were rather thinking about this outside effect and this visual, not a visual, but the effect how it could change our image, the image of the city of Katowice that is still suffering of the stereotype of being great, boring, and still very industrial, which is not the case anymore. So investing in building was the first level. That helped us a lot, of course, in when we started our bid for City of Music in 2015, and we had this privilege to be the first City of Music in Poland, and we just been recently, a year ago, taken over this privilege by the city of Bydgoszcz, that we very congratulate, and we are not alone in the subnetwork in Poland anymore as a City of Music, and we are very pleased with that we have a partner now. But it's been a huge change. But what we are mostly thinking now, and how we consider this title, and what we want to turn our attention on is, of course, the social aspects of transformation that music can help us. Because frankly speaking, the creative sector of Katowice, which is a city of 300,000 people, placed in a very particular geographical point between such a strong and powerful cities like Kraków and Wrocław on the other side, very close physically to Warsaw, just 2 hours going by train. So the brain drain also in the creative sector is very strong. So our creative sector is suffering because of that. That's why much more we are focusing on this transformational and social aspects, that we are using music as a way of transforming our society, starting first of all, of course, with children. If we want to have those places like Polish National Orchestra Radio Concert Hall be filled or full in the next decades, in the next generations, and if we want to have a creative society, and a society which is ready for challenges of the future, they must be also creative and open-minded, and the music is the way to facilitate that. We have that's why we have a few quite important social projects that we are introducing music, for example, to the primary schools. Anyone who is from Poland here knows exactly how art education is treated in Polish schools. I'm also the victim of it, I would say. So introducing music as a way of dealing, of working with a group is a very powerful tool that we are trying to use. And of course, we are choosing a very particular districts of the city because, as I said before, Katowice were not so industrial city comparing to the other ones in the core of the metropolis, which their economy much more dependent on the coal mines or steel factories. But in our case, of course, there were some districts were shutting down the coal mines in the 90s, or that is taking place now, generates quite important social problems. And of course, we are focusing on those districts with our social, artistic, and musical projects, because those children and those people are the most in need of that. And of course, the title of the UNESCO City of Music is I would say even some kind of an alibi and a guarantee for the future that the city, the authorities, no matter who will be in charge in the next decennies, will be somehow obliged to continue this path and never forget that creativity and in this case music should be one of the pillars of the development of the city. I wouldn't say that the most important one, but still quite crucial. And this title, which is, you may say, granted forever, but now, as I heard just yesterday during the meeting of the Polish creative cities with the Polish National Committee, there are already some discussions within the UNESCO itself about limiting this period and then this title and even giving the thinking about the chance of or the tool of taking back the title from the cities which are inactive. So this title is something you need to take care of. And for the city of Katowice, it's really a very important guarantee for the future.
Thank you very much. I feel that now we should move to the second topic of our discussion today, which refers to the label of UNESCO City of Music, City of Film, and City of Literature. Well, Sandra have mentioned that it is not the most important label, but I feel that UNESCO label is something, and really cities which are within the network should take advantage of that and also, well, I would say incorporate this into the city's promotional strategy. So maybe we will start with Bristol, and I will ask Natalie, what about City of Film label? Do people recognize Bristol as a city of film? Do citizens of Bristol recognize, or the people in UK?
It's really tricky to identify because for some people the UNESCO brand is very recognized and very credible, and it adds credibility to a lot of the activity we do. But to some citizens in the city, they wouldn't necessarily know what UNESCO is, and it doesn't mean anything to them really in terms of what the designation is or does. So it's using it in a way that resonates with people at the right times, and we've done that with when it's been a public engagement exercise. For example, when we've been holding public events to try to bring in diverse audiences and to regenerate some of our city centre spaces, using the UNESCO title has been employed because it increases awareness of the brand and of the designation for the public, but also it connects that activity with those values, with the UNESCO side of the values that we hold dear in terms of the designation. So we don't use it all the time. There are some cities that have large, signage all over the cities to celebrate the designation. It's useful, I think, for some cities, but for Bristol, we haven't used it yet as a tourism opportunity. we could do that. And I'm really inspired by Łódź and seeing the Walk of Fame. I'm going to take that back to Bristol and tell people about it. And seeing how, you know, physical infrastructure in the city can celebrate that designation, so that the public, so members of the public can also be brought into that space and understand the value of having the designation. I think that's somewhere Bristol needs to get to next. It's not something we've done yet. But for us, it has been a journey over the last 7 years of embedding it into our policy structures and our plans, our development plans, so that anything we achieve through it has impact for the people of Bristol. And then in seeing those programs come to life and in celebrating the outcomes of those programs, we're able to then build awareness of the UNESCO brand and celebrate the activity of the network.
Thank you. Moving to Łódź, Rafał, what do you know about recognition of this City of Film label among citizens of Łódź? Do you have any information about it or recognition in Poland?
I would like to be very optimistic, but it's not very easy for me. Yeah, we've got a few researchers about the recognition of Łódź as a city of film, and the results of this research was very, very optimistic. Without Warsaw, as I said, all cities was absolutely convinced that only one city of film in Poland is Łódź, just Łódź, only Łódź. Without Warsaw, Warsaw said Warsaw is city of film. But as I said, I can't be very, very optimistic in this matter because I think it's still a lot of to do because, well, first in Łódź, the music industry is, I think, more promoted today, especially by city council and municipality. And music festivals have a stronger position than film festivals. Film festivals are in Łódź quite marginal and do not receive much support from city council and municipality. Better progress is, I think, is seen in film education. In film education, both professional and elementary, because we've got the famous film school, we've got National Center for Film Culture and other initiatives dedicated to film education. And I'm very proud of this kind of area in Łódź. It's absolutely splendid, especially because this education is very, very modern and very open for future of film. For example, VN Lab, this is the part of film school in Łódź, is the great laboratory dedicated to cinema of the future, VR, AR, etc. Cinematic artificial intelligence. It's really interesting part of Łódź contemporary times of film. Unfortunately, only our center, National Center for Film Culture, uses the logo of UNESCO in our programs, because other institutions and initiatives don't see the point of doing it, because they don't feel that being a part of UNESCO network gave them any additional benefits. The Office of Creative City of Film, so National Center for Film Culture, doesn't have any extra funds for granting. So we don't have the necessary, for example, driving force for other initiatives. We try to discuss with the community of film, but it's not very easy because the particular interests are sometimes stronger than the mutual benefits, mutual thinking about the future of the film. On the other hand, so financial support for film initiatives from City of Łódź didn't increase when we entered the network, in total, of course. For example, we lost the big film festival, Transatlantic, which was the biggest initiative at the beginning of being the member of this network. But on the other hand, in comparison with other big cities in Poland, this support dedicated to film initiatives is quite high. Maybe even belongs to the highest in Poland. For example, we've got the film funds, the biggest one, the biggest film funds in Poland, and we've got the great community of film producers. For example, Ewa Puszczyńska, who is one of the greatest producers in the world right now, because she was nominated to Oscar for The Zone of Interest by Jonathan Glazer, is living here in Łódź. She's absolutely connected with Łódź, with this community. She's very active as well. She's living in the very, very humble part of this city. But not only Ewa Puszczyńska, but also a few others great distinguished film producers are still living and working here in Łódź. So I'm really proud of them. Łódź also very rarely uses UNESCO title in other promotional and image building activities, unfortunately. Last year, for example, Łódź was focused on the fact that the city was celebrating 600th anniversary. And cinematic aspects of this heritage was very poorly presented, unfortunately. The fact that we are a part of UNESCO network appears in official strategic documents also very seldom. And for example, in the main strategic document, we've got 1 page information about this, the fact that we are the UNESCO City of Film. Only one, maybe it's not only, but 1 page only. So in short, neither the city is particularly interested in promoting itself through the idea of creative city of film, nor do entities, initiatives, and communities in the field of film culture see any particular benefits or positive changes after Łódź joined UNESCO network. This is a very disappointing fact and certainly requires intervention. So optimistic thing is that Łódź has many benefits in area of film. National Center for Film Culture, film school, studios, producers, film museum, etc. That's the very vibrant and rich contemporary film scene right now. But this landscape is developing a bit next to the idea of UNESCO Creative City of Film. So film in Łódź is really strong, but promotion of the city and image building activities are focused on, I think, other directions. Industrial, post-industrial heritage, problems, social problems, music, absolutely music, pop music, and rock music.
Thank you, Rafa. We have
Maybe
to
not
speed
him.
up. We have to speed up. Now we are moving to Krakow. So the question to Robert is, do citizens of Krakow recognize that it is a city of literature? Have you done any survey in the previous years about it?
First of all, I would like to get back to the UNESCO status. What does it mean? Because everyone wants to have the brand of UNESCO. It's, of course, by most of the decision makers and governments, local governments, treated as a tourism brand. And we all know the small villages in Italy or Portugal welcome to UNESCO city. Krakow, being first European city on UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1978, got information when you enter to the city, those welcoming boards welcome to the City of Kings. Last year, because of the celebration of 45th anniversary of UNESCO, we changed those boards into welcome to World Heritage Site. What does it mean? That means outstanding universal value, that you enter to the city which belongs to everyone. It's a why I'm saying that? Because we haven't really touched the point with Agenda 2030, which has been signed by Council of Europe in 2019 only, expressing the crucial role of the culture in the transformation of European societies. So, of course, those titles, literature, music, blah, 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 they were just viruses in our towns, how to connect cultural policies with larger vision, transition from, let's say, transformation of our societies into more just, inclusive. Talking about climate change in our cities is a very recent conversation. Then creating shared spaces is a case of recent years. Being not only city of literature, but using literature to connect different disciplines of culture. We are also city of music, city of Penderecki, great composers. We are also city of film. We are city of Andrzej Wajda, and we have 6 film festivals in Krakow, right? So we are city of festivals. We are city of gastronomy of 2019. So city being city of literature celebrated 1-year title of being city of gastronomy, and it was a very important moment where we were focusing on local chains of you know, consumption and delivery of local products, being more connected with the region of Małopolska, such a rich region in gastronomy traditions, and so on. So, of course, city of Krakow uses its 4 UNESCO titles: Memory of the World, Intangible Heritage, World UNESCO Site, and Creative City of UNESCO in city promotion. City of Literature has been connected, and it was the same meeting with Mayor, with the General Director of ICON, International Cities of Refuge Network, and City of Literature from Edinburgh. So for Krakow, City of Literature means also freedom of speech and art and democracy issue, which has been a very important issue over the last 8 years, when many institutions has been censored or self-censored due to some of the ideological issues. And also we are connected with film industry. One example, our program Creative Writing with screenplay, What to Picture. It was the project we started 6 or 7 years ago, and we have already first movies, and they are very successful. Or the connection between literature and gaming, such a wonderful connections, especially that we have a CD Projekt Red headquarter in Warsaw. The company, they developed Witcher based on Witcher novel by Sapkowski. So we seek for connections, and City of Literature program is in collaboration with all of the organizers, festivals. Everyone can use this logo. It's for free. But I must say that the very crucial moment was where we finished the process of reunification of a libraries network, because they were split into districts working on different IT systems. That was disaster. So one of the greatest achievement of the UNESCO City of Literature title was the transformation of libraries into very contemporary, modern social inclusion hotspots, and they feel this title belongs to them. and it's very important because we have the largest network of libraries and they are connecting communities in the most inclusive and equal way. And the weakness I feel is here in Łódź, and I don't know whether in Katowice it's a part of the same problem, but we celebrated last year 10th anniversary of the UNESCO title for literature, and we got some of the evaluation of this period, and we noticed that other institutions, they feel that it's one of the programs of KBF, Kraków Festival Office. So suddenly they feel that the host of the program, it's their property. So it was a huge conversation in Kraków, how to get back to the roots, how to share this title again, how to show that, of course, KBF has its own program, but mainly is supporting bookshops, libraries, publishers, 11 or 12 literary festivals, residences, and how many actors we are active on this stage. A residential center in Villa Decius, which is separated and independent institutions, libraries, regional library, municipal libraries, publishers, book institute, and so on. So I think it's important to share this title not as one of the programs of specific institutions, but to have this force through UNESCO values in engaging all of the town.
Thank you very much, Robert. Well, I like the example of Krakow because I feel that Krakow have a great ability to take advantage of the titles you have. And a good example was in 2000 when you have been the European City of Culture, because it was not only 1 year anniversary, but it was it started in 1997, and each year was dedicated to different part of culture. So I know about your experience in this marketing approach. And actually, we are moving to Sandra and North Shopping example. What can you say about promotion of the city?
Lovely tech. Yeah, I think, of course, it's important. What I meant before was applying to the Creative Cities Network is not about branding, but of course you should market and take advantage of this position to be a designated UNESCO city. It's not actually allowed to use your Creative Cities logotype in commercial settings, which some maybe do anyways, but it's actually not allowed. And of course, being part of a powerful network that could make Mondia Cult come alive, active in your city, or actually 350 cities coming together to make culture a real sustainability goal in the next vision. That's something that you want to show off, right? You want it to be seen. And in Sweden, we have a new strategy for the creative cities. And this year, we have a part where we want to market the designations together. So yes, of course, in this way, the promotion and the label is an important part of what we do. And for us, like we talked about before, every time when there is a film coming out, like UFO Sweden, who made the actors speak English through AI, which is amazing. First movie in the world, actually, to do so. And when the new Nordic mythology game Bramble come out, or last year's Eurovision winner song was written in Norrköping, that makes us look good within the creative clusters all over the world. but we don't put a UNESCO stamp on it. It just strengthens our cities. But through the UNESCO Creative Cities, we can work with it in a new way, working with Liverpool, who's also a city of music. When another city of music win, we created a conference on sustainable host cities. So I think you can promote your city in so many ways, even if it's not through a logotype or branding. And like I talked about before, the trails and everything. And this year, an evaluation of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network has been done, and in July we will know the result, and then we know more about how the cities actually use this designation to promote themselves. So we'll see.
Yes, thank you. Of course, the next question would be, do citizens of Stockholm recognize Norrköping as a city of music, but we haven't got enough time.
Yes, yeah, they do, because of course they are bigger than us and also bigger in the music industry, but we are their incubator. And being a creative city is not being the best or having the best music industry. It's about working with music as a driver.
Okay, now we are moving to Katowice, and question to Łukasz is, do you feel that people in Poland recognize Katowice as a city of music? We know that from last year there is a new incomer into the network, which is Bydgoszcz, but I feel that you do not treat them as a competitor, but rather you supported this.
Yeah, we supported them from the very beginning. If you ask someone in Poland if he knows that Katowice is the city of music, probably would heard no. But what is even more important for us, just a few months ago, we've got the results of the huge research we made for our second ECOC, so European Capital of Culture bid, which is going to be finished in the next few months. And one of parts of this research was how the city of Katowice is being regarded and perceived in Poland. And what was quite optimistic for us, that more or less 30% of people in Poland, and of course we are talking about the representative group of people being surveyed, 30% recognize the culture of Katowice. That's a really huge success, because as I said, we are still struggling this very strong stereotype, and of course it's thanks to the music, but it's also thanks to the other aspects. And for the city like Katowice, you've been talking about here about the festivalization at the festivals, just on a panel before, as far as I know, and of course you can say that festivals are or already should be gone, and it's a part of the history of culture. But for us, it's also a very important tool of promoting the city and changing this image, no matter if the people know that they are coming to the UNESCO City of Music or not. But as most of our festivals are attracting people outside of the city, people are really discovering, and the new generation are discovering the city once again. And this is one of the aspects how music can change the image of the city, and how culture can change it. And we are really taking advantage of it.
Thank you very much. Well, we have to finish in half a minute, so I haven't got much time. I do apologize that we haven't managed to have a question and answer session. Anyway, to sum up our today's discussion, I have only one word, which is the collaboration. And I feel that when we are talking about the UNESCO Creative Cities Network, it is the main advantage of being within this program, to define challenges and to look for answer how we can take advantage of different fields of culture in strengthening our cities, in fostering in development, in sustainable development. Thank you very much for being with us, And thank you very much for your attention.